A married couple lives in a remote house deep in the forest. They are getting ready to visit their family. The husband, Jack, is a former high-ranking member of the U.S. Special Forces. His wife, who is 6 months pregnant, quietly packs their things for the trip, excited about the upcoming birth of their first child. Soon after, the sheriff arrives. He's there to ask about their plan to sell the house to a man named Bastian. Jack firmly denies it, saying he never planned to sell. During their talk, it becomes clear that Bastian has been trying to buy the house for months, but Jack has rejected every offer. No final decision has been made yet, but the tension between them is growing. Jack knew he could never give up the house, no matter how much money he was offered. Keeping it was his way of standing his ground. That evening, he and his wife visited an old friend named Joe and his wife. During dinner, Joe noticed Jack seemed uneasy and asked what was bothering him. Jack admitted that he was afraid Bastian would do anything to take the house because Bastian was the most powerful mafia boss in the area. Joe, who had also served in the Special Forces, tried to comfort Jack and promised to help if anything happened. After dinner, Jack and his wife said goodbye to Joe and his wife before heading home. When they arrived, Jack told his wife to go inside while he stayed outside to get a few things from the car. At that moment, their neighbor, Earl, walked over and said he had seen 3 strange men enter the house about 20 minutes earlier. He asked if Jack had just gotten back. At first, Jack ignored the warning, thinking Earl was just drunk. But Earl insisted he was telling the truth and warned Jack to be careful. He was worried the strangers might return and urged Jack to stay alert to protect his pregnant wife. Feeling uneasy, Jack rushed into the house. The moment he stepped inside, the strangers attacked him and knocked him unconscious. Meanwhile, Jack's wife was taken hostage by the 3 men. They said they were sent by Bastian, who had been trying to take the house for a long time. After being turned down many times, he finally chose to use force to get what he wanted. Jack's wife begged them to spare her, saying she would give up the house to protect her family. But Bastian's orders were ruthless, and she was killed along with their unborn child. Thinking Jack was dead, the 3 men left the scene. A short time later, Jack regained consciousness. When he saw his wife's lifeless body, he broke down in grief. His sorrow quickly turned into fury, and he ran outside to find the attackers still nearby. Jack managed to kill one of them, but the other 2 escaped in their car. Soon after the trial, Charles Bastian's right-hand man informed him that Jack had been officially convicted. But Bastian wasn't satisfied. He wanted a tougher punishment and demanded that Jack be sentenced to life in prison so he would never be free again. Jack claimed he acted to protect his family. However, the sheriff explained that the law only allows deadly force in self-defense when it happens inside one's home. Since Jack killed the man outside, his actions were seen as revenge, not self-defense. In the end, the sheriff closed the trial, saying the final decision was up to the judge and advised Jack to ask for leniency. Meanwhile, Bastian ordered his son, Leon, to take over Jack's house and turn it into a place for making illegal goods. Leon hesitated, afraid that Jack might still be alive and come back for revenge. But Bastian told him not to worry, saying he already had control over the judge handling the case. Hearing that, Leon finally agreed to go through with the plan. Back in the interrogation room, the police chief expressed sympathy, but said he didn't have the power to change the verdict. During their talk, he asked Jack why he had been expelled from the task force. Jack explained that during a mission in Afghanistan, he had disobeyed orders while trying to save 2 children. The mission failed and one of Jack's teammates was killed. After that, he was discharged in disgrace. A few days later, Jack went to trial. Everything went just as Bastian had planned. The corrupt judge declared him guilty and sentenced him to 6 years in prison. Jack stayed silent, but deep down, he was filled with a burning desire for revenge against Bastian. Soon after the trial, Charles Bastian's right-hand man reported that Jack had officially been convicted, but Bastian still wasn't satisfied. He wanted a tougher sentence and demanded that Jack be given life in prison so he would never be free again. 6 years later, Jack was released. Joe was waiting outside the prison gate and was surprised to see that Jack still looked strong, maybe even stronger than before. Jack said that during his time in prison, he never stopped training, driven by one goal: to get revenge on Bastian. Joe stayed quiet, just smiled, and drove him home.
Thank you, Joe.
When Jack returned to his old house, he broke down as memories of his wife and unborn child came rushing back. Afterward, he went to see Earl to ask what had happened while he was gone. Earl told Jack that his house had been turned into a factory for making illegal goods,
Nice place.
run by Leon, Bastian's son.
I had
Jack
a little
then
drink
asked
and he
where
got
Leon
to it.
was.
But the good news
Earl
is,
said Leon often
Right,
spent
come on,
time at a
Leon.
nightclub with Derek,
bar just
his
off Route
partner who had
30.
escaped 6 years ago.
everything in this.
After hearing that, Jack thanked Earl and decided to track down Leon and Derek that very night. That night, Jack went to a nightclub. He quietly walked in, ordered a glass of water, and sat in a corner. Soon after, a big man named Benny arrived with a few friends. He told Jack to leave because the spot was reserved for Lion. Jack immediately realized that Benny worked for Lion. Pretending to cooperate, he stood up and walked away from his seat. A few moments later, Benny went outside to get the phone he had left in his car. But when he opened the door, Jack was already waiting inside. Jack attacked him by surprise, knocked him unconscious, and took him to another location for questioning. Before starting, Jack called Joe to explain the plan, and Joe agreed to be on standby in case Jack needed help. After that, Jack stopped by an armory to gather the necessary gear, then went back to where Benny was still unconscious in the car. When Benny woke up, Jack forced him to tell where Leon and Derek were. Benny said he didn't know their exact location, but under pressure, he agreed to call Leon. Jack took the phone and spoke to Leon himself. During the call, he threatened Leon and swore to take revenge on him, Bastian, and everyone responsible for his wife's death. When Leon heard the voice, he realized Jack was still alive. Instead of panicking, he threatened Jack back, saying he would kill him before Jack could take revenge. After the call ended, Jack let Benny go and warned him to leave before he changed his mind. Terrified, Benny ran off, but before he got far, he was shot by Charles, who had been hiding in the shadows. An hour later, Charles told Bastian that Leon and Derek were heading to Jack's house after Benny had been released. Alarmed, Bastian ordered Charles to stop them and capture Jack alive. But the order came too late. Leon and Derek had already arrived, and a fierce gunfight broke out, echoing through the night. Using his sharp skills and experience, Jack killed Derek and badly wounded Leon. Just then, Charles showed up and dragged Leon away to save him. A few minutes later, the sheriff and his deputy arrived after hearing the gunfire. Jack argued that he couldn't be punished because the fight happened in his own home and claimed that Derek's death was an act of self-defense.
I know what you're
The
doing.
sheriff accepted Jack's explanation, but warned him that Bastian would seek revenge. Jack wasn't afraid he even wanted his enemies to come after him, so he could fight back without worrying about the law. Meanwhile, Leon was taken to the hospital and fell into a coma. The news infuriated Bastian, and he vowed to destroy Jack no matter what it took. At the same time, Jack started reinforcing his house. He set up smoke grenades in the yard, hid homemade bombs in key spots, and placed rifles in hidden positions. Every trap was carefully set up to stay out of sight. Jack knew that without these preparations, he wouldn't stand a chance against Bastian and his men. Meanwhile, Bastian's youngest daughter, Molly, confronted him about his plans. Worried, she asked if he really intended to attack Jack. Bastian said yes, blaming Jack for putting Leon in a coma. Molly tried to stop him, saying that revenge would never take away the pain. But Bastian refused to listen. He said nothing and no one, not even Molly, could change his mind.
I do.
Since childhood, Molly had always hated her father's life as a ruthless mafia boss. She could never forget the day her mother died in a violent shootout. Deep down, she wanted to stand up to her father, but in the end, she stayed silent and buried her pain. At Jack's house, Earl brought him some food. Jack was about to turn it down, but Earl reminded him that he hadn't eaten since the day before. In the end, Jack gave in and accepted it.
Shorty's grandma.
Before leaving, Jack warned Earl to stay inside all night because a fight was coming. As night fell, he called Joe to thank him and said he might have to face Bastian and his men that very night and might not make it out alive. Joe was silent for a moment, then promised to come and help. Soon after, the first group of Bastian's soldiers appeared outside Jack's house. The soldiers began their attack, but Jack was fully prepared. The traps he had set earlier went off, taking down many of them and turning the front yard into a war zone. Amid the chaos, Earl quickly called the sheriff. As soon as he heard the news, the sheriff and his deputies rushed to the scene.
I think I'm gonna be
Meanwhile,
sick.
Charles reported to Bastian that they had taken heavy losses and needed more reinforcements. After hearing the report, Bastian decided to send all his remaining men and lead the attack himself. When the sheriff arrived, he immediately got ready to fight. Earl tried to run out and help Jack, but was shot before he could get far. The sheriff quickly dragged him to safety, then charged into the house and opened fire on Bastian's men. Meanwhile, in another part of the battlefield, Charles came face to face with Jack. The fight was intense, and Jack was almost out of strength. Just then, the sheriff appeared and aimed his gun at Charles, starting another round of gunfire. Even though he was wounded, the sheriff fought bravely until the end. Charles was finally killed when a grenade exploded in his hand. After the battle ended, the sheriff prepared to return to his office. He urged Jack to leave with him, but Jack refused, believing the fight wasn't over yet. Soon after, the sheriff's deputy arrived with a message from Molly, warning that Bastian and his men were on their way. Just then, Joe showed up, bringing more weapons to help. Realizing how serious things had become, the sheriff chose to stay and join Jack and Joe in preparing for the final battle. Bastian's men charged forward. The police chief warned him to pull back or face arrest, but Bastian ignored the warning and opened fire. The police chief was shot, and chaos broke out as Bastian ordered his men to storm the house. Under the heavy attack, Jack realized he couldn't hold out much longer. He told Joe to get the wounded police chief to safety while he prepared to make one final move to destroy the house and end it all. Joe reluctantly followed Jack's order. He threw a smoke grenade to create cover, then dragged the wounded police chief to safety. Meanwhile, Jack went upstairs, got into the bathtub, and covered himself with his coat for protection. A few minutes later, a powerful explosion ripped through the house, reducing it to rubble. Thinking Jack was dead, Bastian pulled his men back to the mansion. The next morning, Molly found out that Leon was dead. Jack showed up and told her to leave, admitting that he was the one who had killed him. Enraged, Bastian shot Jack, leaving him badly wounded. Molly begged her father to stop, but he refused to listen. In the end, she had no choice but to pull the trigger and end her father's life. Soon after, Jack collapsed and died from his severe injuries. The story ends with a funeral scene. Joe and his wife attend to honor Jack, a man who fought for justice until his final breath. In the end, the message is clear. If a mafia boss really wants your house, it might be wiser to sell it and move somewhere else.